basically working with the Consortium. I have so much respect and admiration for Dr. Ashmore. She's mentored me. She gave me an opportunity to take a leadership role within the National Entrepreneurship Week team in the Commonwealth. We've had probably around 40 events over the last 5 or 6 years. We have a tremendous group of people that work here and there to help one another across state, across city borders. And it brings me, and I have my youngest entrepreneur in training over there, and I think he's trying to sell you something right now.
No, he's rooting for his dad.
Right. But it gives me great pleasure to be able to introduce John Bryant. Okay? He's an individual who actually lived the entrepreneurial story. Out of Los Angeles, he was an average student like myself and wasn't necessarily focused on school, and somebody saw the light in him after introducing him to financial literacy. His organization is Operation Hope, and it was founded in 1992. It's a nonprofit that is in 300 U.S. cities, 3 countries, and has partnerships that are in multiple countries. He's been sitting on the last 3 presidents' advisory board and was a current appointee of President Barack Obama to sit on the President's Advisory Council on Financial Literacy. Without further ado, could you please give John Bryant a round of applause?
Good afternoon. Try that one more time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The Bible says, when there's no vision, the people perish. Yes. But it also suggests if you be hot or be cold. Because if you're lukewarm, I'll spat you out. Translation, even God is not like mediocrity. And there's no way that you're going to achieve this audacious goal you have unless you're truly excited and ramped up and revved up about doing this, because you are in an intellectual minority. You're in an intellectual minority, and you're in a fact-based one. It's switched on.
Is that microphone off?
It's switched on. You can't hear this thing on the mic? Is that better?
We're good.
It's on. One thing I can't control is the technology. The difficult I do immediately, the impossible takes just a little longer. Can you hear me? You can't hear nothing. Put it by my mouth.
That one has to be off.
I might want to do that with mine.
Now it's on.
That has to be off.
I think you're on now.
You're on for sure.
Sorry, Kathy. I botched this up. Sorry, Kathy.
Can you hear me now? And that's fine, because the first rule of entrepreneurship is that they must redefine success. Success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. You just never give up. That's my #1 training. I never, ever give up. And also, it's appropriate to hear on Saturdays, because an entrepreneur works 18 So literally, you gotta be ready. You guys have to relax, loosen up. I know you're educators and all that. You gotta chill, just enjoy yourself, act like it. Literally, jobs come from startups. And why am I so passionate about startups? Because startups are entrepreneurs. And why am I passionate about entrepreneurs? Not because, unlike you, you're professionals in this space. You've been smart enough to take it up, and smart enough like Carmen to promote it and encourage it and push it. But let me tell you, it is my life. It is literally my life work. I grew up in Compton, California, in South Central Los Angeles. This is not a story. This is my life. My mom and dad, why was I passionate about financial literacy? Because my mom and dad fought over money. I remember that. I remember playing on swing sets and all that kind of stuff when we were a kid. I remember my mom and dad literally battling over money. I remember my mom was hit by my father in the middle of a fight, and I called the police at 5. Policemen, come. My daddy's beating on my mother. And in the middle, I had to stop because my mother pulled off her pump. And where I grew up, she would go to the dollar store to get her shoes, and there was a little nail that came out the bottom of the pump. You know, when your shoes aren't too good, the little plastic falls off. And she popped my dad on the back of his head with the little pump. And I said, no, policeman, come. My mother's beating up on my father. And it's funny now, it wasn't so funny then. That's right. But the number one cause of domestic abuse in this country is money. And not so long after that, Carmen, my mom and dad divorced. The number one cause for divorce in America is money. By the way, let me just cut to the chase about kids in school. There's a lot of noise about blacks and browns and minorities and why they should go to school and why aren't they going to college. The number one reason why blacks and browns and minorities drop out of college or don't go is not academics, it's money. 350 young bright lights at Spelman who had 3.5 GPAs or better, listen now, 3.5 GPAs or better could not get back into Spelman, not because of academics, but because they couldn't afford tuition. And I wonder if they understood about the earned income tax credit, which probably 80% of their parents qualify for. I don't know, are you familiar with the EITC?
Yes.
Those of you, so I don't waste time. Anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, earned income tax credit. Okay, one person's enough. EITC is a tax payment for working. It's federally mandated, it's bipartisan, it's not a handout. Here's the rub. Out of about $50 billion allocated to the working poor, you make $54,000, I should say middle class, $50,000 or less, you qualify. If you make $25,000, you have 2 children, and you work, the government owes you, listen, $4,000 a year. If you've never filed, it's retroactive 3 years. Do some quick math, that's $12,000. If you work and make $28,000 a year, you've probably never seen $12,000 a year at one time in your living life. It'll reset everything. It'll pay that mortgage. It'll pay off that car. It'll send a kid to college. 10% of that, 9 billion of the 50 billion never gets picked up. 1 out of 4 people who qualify for EITC never even ask for it. Because the whole marketing budget for EITC in our great government is $1 million. And $1 million, anybody who understands government, is they're rounding it. So basically, if you have a financial planner, you know about EITC. But if you have a financial planner, you probably don't qualify for EITC because it's $50,000 or less. Why is this relevant? Why is this relevant to what you're talking about? Well, going back to my story and how lives change, my brother wanted to go to college, and my mother saved $4,000 the hard way, little by little, 10% per paycheck. She would tell me, the man will set your salary if you decide your income. My mother was an entrepreneur too, and an intrapreneur. She worked at McDonnell Douglas Aircraft, had a little candy shop on the side, and would ride around on a bike on the campus of McDonnell Douglas Aircraft, now Boeing Aircraft, selling her wares. And she was also selling story in a moment. And she saved $4,000 for my brother to go to college, but unfortunately my dad got to the bank first. And so my brother couldn't go to a college of his choice. The only way to get a college education was to go into the military. Well, fast forward 30 years later, my brother has retired from the military. I'm very proud of him. He's married to a lady who's from the islands. He lives in Hawaii. He's a contractor for the federal government, and I'm sorry, for the Navy, same thing, government. I'm very proud of him. But how many turns of my life, my brother's life, would be fundamentally different if he had his own free choice to go to the college of his choice? Would he be a doctor? Would he be a banker? Would he be an entrepreneur? Would he be a small business owner? Would he be the governor? I don't know what he would be, but I know his life traditionally and fundamentally changed when he couldn't go to the college of his choice. And that had everything to do with the choices my mom and dad made. It had everything to do with the fights my mother and dad had. My mother went one way with that exercise. My dad went another. They broke up. They got a divorce over money. There's a piece of the story I left out. At this time, we owned an 8-unit apartment building. We owned a nursery. Why nursery? Because my mother wanted to spend more time with her child, and the only way she could validate doing it was to start a business that would take care of kids, one of which was her own child. I became the first client that she actually charged me. We owned a gas station, if anybody knows LA, at Vernon in western southeast corner. We own our own home. We own a cement contracting business. This is a black family, a mother and father without a college education, let me be straight, without a high school education from the South. Now, did not have a high school education because they wanted to be dumb. They didn't wake up in the morning and say, ooh, let me be dumb. Let me be uneducated. It's because they were not inspired to or encouraged to get a college education coming from a southern farming environment. You were encouraged, particularly if you're a woman, to work on the farm, not to go to school. Can I get an amen? Anybody know the story? So my mother takes kind of constitution she had, Carmen, she at 62 years of age, went back to school. Got her high school equivalent at 62 years of age and walked with cap and gown with 18-year-olds. Wow. What an incredible woman. My mother told me she loved me every day of my life. I think it worked. I actually believe it. I'm drawing a picture for you. I hope you're beginning to see the broad frameworks of it, because it is trying to make real the curriculum that you were trying to instill. Back to the story. My mom and dad created these enterprises, and we then lost the 8-unit apartment building because my dad was financially illiterate. He could make it but couldn't keep it. The more money he made, the broker we got. He'd make $1, he'd spend $1.50. You do the math on that as you start to do so-called better. And the 8-unit apartment building was most damaging to my spirit now that I'm an adult, because we bought that 8-unit apartment building for $18,000. I'm going to let this sit in with you for a minute. We bought an 8-unit apartment building, even in Georgia money. It's a great steal in Georgia on real estate, but even in Georgia money, that's still impossible, right? Yeah. It's impossible. They can buy a modest home and then run down neighborhood for $18,000. But in California, in LA, imagine what that would be worth today. That's your endowment. That's your retirement. That's how you finance your children's businesses. That's how you send kids to college. That's $3-4 million. Are you with me? Yes. We bought it for $18,000. The payments on that $18,000 could be fulfilled with renting 1 unit. We lost it. We lost our own home. We didn't lose my dad's home. We lost our home, because you build wealth by passing down assets from generation to generation. We lost the gas station. We lost the nursery. We didn't lose the cement contracting business. My dad did it with his own 2 hands. But my dad would bid, take out important education, is he would bid jobs. And he didn't, unlike my mother, Ambassador Andrew Young, one of my mentors, said that men fail for 3 reasons, men and women: pride, arrogance, and greed. My dad was not a greedy man, but he was full of pride. That bred, unfortunately, an innocent arrogance. He didn't want to admit he didn't understand what he didn't understand. It's what you don't know that you don't know that's killing you. It's what you don't know that you don't know that's killing you, what you think you know. So my dad would bid a job, and he would bid it for $1,000. The problem was that it really cost Storms. Why did your grandparents, why were they so thrifty? Why were they so diligent? Why were they so modest? Because they remember the Great Depression. Rainbows follow storms, loss creates leaders, and whatever goes around comes around. So when I was 9 years old, 10 years old, I was in Compton, California, going through school. School didn't really interest me. I was a C- C+ student. By the way, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. got a C- in public speaking from Crozier Seminary. Fact. I'll repeat that. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., arguably one of the best orators of the 20th century, maybe 20th and 21st, got a C grade in public speaking from Crozier Seminary. They said, if you don't stop speaking like that, young man, you'll never amount to much of anything.
Wow.
So outliers need to be valued in a unique and different way. No Child Left Behind is an important piece of legislation. Who wouldn't want their child to read and write? Who wouldn't want their child to be able to add 2 + 2? It is well-meaning and makes a lot of sense, except that it doesn't work. If I'm dumb in math, and you test me to prove I'm dumb in math, am I going to be encouraged or discouraged from showing up to your class tomorrow? By the way, what I'm saying now is not partisan. I served George W. Bush. I'm honored to serve George W. Bush. I served our first black president, Bill Clinton. I've been honored by Reagan, Bush, number 1, and I've served Clinton, Bush, and Obama. And the guy who signed my executive order to make financial literacy federal policy, my civil rights bill, was George Bush. So let's be clear. This is not a partisan comment. I'm just talking to you straight, okay? Here's the straight facts. If I have low self-esteem, there's a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke is economic, but being poor is a disabling frame of mind and a depressing condition of your spirit, and you must vow never, ever, ever to be poor again. Poverty and being broke are completely 2 different things. The most dangerous person in the world, a person with no hope. So if a kid has low self-esteem and no hope and is feeling crappy about themselves, and they take a test that underscores how stupid they are, theoretically speaking, in that space, does it discourage them or encourage them?
Discourage.
It's a simple fact. So while No Child Left Behind was meant to help, it actually might accidentally discourage. There's a relevancy to the point. Why did Bill Gates drop out of high school? Why did Terry Taylor drop out of high school?
Forward.
Why did the founder of Apple and all of these interesting Facebook, college or high school, they just bounced? Why did Dr. King get a C class in public C? Because he didn't fit the traditional box of what was viewed to be acceptable. Are you with me so far?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That didn't make them dumb, it didn't make them stupid, it made them an outlier. Which is, unfortunately, exactly what America needs. Let me be radical in my statement. I'm going to come back to my point. I wrote a piece for the Huffington Post. I wrote 2 pieces. One was Bloomberg Business Week called If Bill Gates Were Black. And essentially my point was if Bill Gates was black, it would be much more important by times 100 than if Barack Obama was black. Because Bill Gates creates jobs. Whole other topic. Come back to it later. That wasn't a diss to Obama. The government doesn't create jobs.
That's right.
Process to create jobs. The government can enable job creation, which is what the state of Georgia obviously has done. Bless you. The other piece I wrote for Huffington Post was, hold on, how drug dealers might signal a unique American strength. Now, at this point, you should want to throw me right out of here. Probably the biggest problem you have in your school is thug culture.
All right. Yep.
Particularly if you're in an urban school. So, what do you ask a kid what they want to be? A rap star, an athlete, or a drug dealer?
Yeah.
Because that's the model of success that they
No.
That's what they see. So what I just said to you was an above
promises.
But when you have bad role models and a crappy business model, you tend to model what you
No. See?
know or see. I'll get back to this in a moment. It's incredibly relevant to what you're talking about. Now, we have locked up drug dealers, as we should. Listen to me now, anybody taping this. We have locked up drug dealers, and we should. They should pay their debt in society. They are immoral. They are unethical. You with me? They're not dumb.
That's right. They're not.
They're everything but dumb.
That's
They
right.
may be geniuses.
That's right.
It is entirely possible in an inner city, underserved neighborhood. We've taken the 20% of people who could actually save that neighborhood and create jobs if they had positive role models and a good business model and locked them up. Now you're left with the infirm, the elderly, the young, the traditional, who are not in the mode to create enterprise or jobs at all, and you've got what's called a dying economy. I know I'm being radical.
You're telling the truth.
We're going to have some church in here.
That's right. Amen.
When I was 10 years old, I'm sitting in school. I already told you I was a mediocre student. A baker came in my classroom in Compton, blue suit, red tie, white shirt, happened to be Caucasian. You'll know in a minute, it didn't matter. By the way, 70% of all Americans today living from paycheck to paycheck.
That's right.
Before the economic crisis. Now you guys have been quiet. Let's not get an amen here. If you live in New York City, you make less than $70,000 a year, you're struggling to make ends meet. You live in Georgia, you make less than $45,000 a year, you're struggling to make ends meet. You live in a small town anywhere in America, you make less than $25,000, $30,000 a year, you're struggling to make ends meet. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
So whether you're white, black, red, brown, or yellow, you want to see some more green.
Yes, right.
The issue in Dr. King's day was race and the color line. Today it's class and poverty.
That's right.
Poor feels bad, I don't care who you are. The only difference is when brown folks have a headache, when white folks have a headache, black folks have pneumonia, but we're all sick. So Baker walks in my classroom and teaches a course called Financial Literacy in Home Economics. Remember that course?
Yes.
No, you don't remember home economics. Somebody less than 30 years old. Because they defunded it and de-emphasized it. This is where you learn how to actually run a household, take care of babies and responsibilities, little things like everything. Anyway, I'm sitting in this course and this guy starts talking to me about checking, savings, import, export, finance, market. My brain is blowing up. I stopped him. I said, excuse me, sir. What do you do for a living? And how did you get rich legally?
Oh, my.
Now, whenever I say that, people laugh or look at me strange. But I'm dead serious. Because where I grew up, there were no business role models. There were no entrepreneurs. And as I'm embarrassed to say it, I didn't even see my own father as a businessman or an entrepreneur at that time.
That's right.
You know, you buy a bicycle, you're a cyclist, you start seeing bicycles everywhere. You buy a Toyota, you start seeing Toyotas everywhere. Ladies, you buy this beautiful dress you always liked, and you go to an event and you can spot the lady in that same dress.
Yes.
Clear across the ballroom. I'm not looking at you for any particular reason. Well, when the guy starts unpacking the language of money for me and free enterprise, and the endorphins start firing on the right side of my head about who I can be and what I can do and how I can get rich legally, I finally recognized the guy in front of me. It was my father. With a different color. My dad wore a suit every Tuesday for Bible study, every Friday to make payroll, every Sunday for church. I never noticed it. All of a sudden, my chest came out, my head came up. I was proud of my father. And right then, a light came on, and I became interested in education. That minute, I went to my mother, and I noticed, by the way, that kids would go past my house, detour to the liquor store. Yes, in Compton, they sold candy at the liquor store.
Yep.
To buy candy and be late for school. I thought it was a travesty before God. My friends were late for school.
Sure.
So I went to Mr. Mac, Mac's liquor store. Am I boring anybody?
No.
I went to said, that's nice. I've got cavities. Thank you for the charity laugh. I'm telling you, he's selling the wrong kind of candy. So I bug him. I told you, because this is my best trade. He said, what do I do to get you from in front of me? Hire me. You're hired. Be a box boy. I worked there 3 weeks and quit. Why 3 weeks? Nope. Whoa, I heard it. What? I heard the L word.
Learn.
To learn. Learn what?
The trade.
So you can sell.
Exactly. The box boy role is research and development at a candy store. Who unpacks the inventory?
The box boy.
The box boy. What's on the side of the box? His source of his product. It said Irish Food Store. Right on the, it didn't take a rocket scientist. It had the address. They gave me a price list. Oh my God, a price list. I would never buy candy retail another day in my life. So I quit, went home to my mother, told her this great business plan. She said, go away, little boy, I'm busy. And by the way, anybody here if there were young people in here, I see one, a couple. So here's a guarantee for you. Just irritate your parents for 6 weeks. They'll give in. That's about the time frame. Just stay on them for 6 weeks. Whatever it is, just stay on them for 6 weeks and just say yes. My mother, I told her I wanted to start a business. She ignored me. By the 6 weeks, she said, how much? I told her $40. She said, here, I'll go with you, role modeling. I'll go with you to the Irish Food Store. Went to the Irish Food Store. Oh, this must be a nice little school project. Kids get such a break. Gave me free racks. Gave me extra inventory. Probably sold me some stale candy anyway. I went home, ate some healthy inventory. I hate candy to this day. Rainbow Happy Storm. Saved me. Hey, candy this day. Here's the magic. I sold the other half of the inventory and still made money. Went, bought more inventory, came back, and the din of my house made $300 a week.
Wow.
Now I'm 46. This is when I was 10. 36 years ago, I made $300 a week legally. That's equivalent, my guess is, of $1,000 a week now. I made $4,000 a month selling candy part-time in the den of my house. And then I found girls and lost the business and recovered. This is my life. Another lesson learned. That day, that moment changed my life. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew who I wanted to be. I put a liquor store out of the candy business. I put an adult out of business at 10 years old. There's nothing in the world that can stop me. It reminds me of a young man named Derek who comes into our Banking on Our Future program. We're teaching financial literacy in Detroit, and he's about 12 years of age. Man like you, with a suit on, comes in, and we make sure everybody, the men wear suits. I'll tell you why in a minute. And teaching the course of financial literacy. When I was growing up, 35 kids in school, 30 kids who wanted to learn, 5 kids acting like a knucklehead. Today, you go to the same school, 30 kids acting like a knucklehead, 5 kids ashamed to admit they want to learn. There's nothing wrong with our kids. They've been hijacked by thug culture.
Yep.
Quincy Jones says it takes 20 years to change a culture. In the last 20 years, we've made dumb sense.
Yep. Yeah, dumb set.
We've dumbed down and celebrated it. There's a manufacturer called Diesel Jeans. Don't trust me, look it up on the internet yourself. For 8 years, they had an advertising campaign featuring a permanent sign on their wall in Manhattan. I don't mean a sign, I mean like the real lit, backlit signs, a permanent one, it's costing 20 grand or more, on the wall in Manhattan that said, be stupid. This was their advertising campaign. And for 8 years, not only did no Americans write letters and say, I'm not going to buy these jeans from you, and then you stop. Not only did that not work, they won awards. Imagine you take this be stupid sign to China and put it up. Take it to Africa. Take it to any place where people are struggling trying to get what we have in America. When they get up before us, stay up after us, work weekends, and their parents do anything to put their kids through school and put up a be stupid sign and see how that does. We've lost works like your parents, your children take you for granted,
Yep.
your students will take the teacher for granted. You need the role model to come out as an outside validator of what success and aspiration actually looks like. Back to the story.
That's the musician time.
We go through the financial literacy course. Derek is going out of the class in the 5th session. I'm right behind him. His friends say, Derek, why are you hanging around those people? Thank me, can I beat up with you for a minute? Okay. I'll be Jake. He says, why are you hanging out with those guys? They don't know nothing. Come hang with us. I go to Derek's aid. I said, Derek, your friends, I'm going to give you each $70 to make a decision about night. I didn't lecture them. I didn't berate them. I said, each of you have $70 to make a decision about night. You got 3 minutes. The friend said, we don't need 3 minutes. We want Air Jordans right now. That's cool. He does $30, but here you go. Derek says, I want 1 share of Nike stock. Is this the beginning of the story or the ending?
Beginning.
Beginning. Rainbows after storms. Loss creates leaders. I go to defend Derek's honor. Then why you want that stock? You don't need no stock. Get you some Air Jordans. Everybody in school has got Air Jordans. Black Air Jordans, purple Air Jordans, fuchsia Air Jordans, black Air Jordans. Everybody in school has got Air Jordans. I go to defend Derek's honor, and Derek says, no, it's cool. I want them to buy those shoes.
Piece of stock. That's right. That's right.
So you'll get that later, so
Yes.
you need a memo.
Piece of stock. Yeah, stock.
Because what they do, they're making me money.
That's right.
The word capital comes from the Latin root word capitas, knowledge in the head. Has nothing to do with it. I give a homeless guy $1 million and be broke in 6 months because nothing changed here
Oh, there.
or here. What does all this have to do with you? And I was homeless, by the way, just so you know that my story is not some Harvard or Ivy League or somehow this ended with me having a trust fund. I was homeless 6 months of my life when I was 18. So all this ended very badly after I started 100 businesses and I had to reset my life all over again. That's why I say success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm and never, ever, 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 ever give up. And I started out this boat when I was 26 years old. I could relate to my customer, I could relate to that pain, I could relate to not having a roll bump. I could relate to having hopelessness and having everybody love me. But God will make dirt. Everybody has a medicine. Everybody can change the world. But your life is what you see. You have some water in front of you. So is the glass half full or is it half empty? Depends who's looking at the glass. If it's half, if the person next to you says that's half empty, get up and move. And I'm only partially kidding. That's a negative person. It takes 7 muscles to smile and 35 muscles to frown. People who are experts at being miserable. That's why they sleep on their desk at 2 o'clock on Monday because they're exhausted. It takes energy to be a negative person. And to rationalize is to tell rational lies. I think you got some good stuff going right over your head. I think I need to cut to the chase, baby, because I think I'm losing my heart. I think that I.
No, you're doing well. You're great. Yeah. We're good.
Let me bring this home. Operation Hope has now served 2 million people. We've directed $1.5 billion in private capital in the inner city communities. The guy who made the suit that I'm wearing, we put in business. He's a young man who came to us with a dream, and now he's doing $800,000 a year in revenue, paying his taxes, raising his children, has 6 full-time employees, and is living the dream. We moved his credit score from 550 to 670. It's fundamentally changed his life. And we're building a Hope Center at Ebenezer Church, which will be open on November 14th next week at the Daddy King Center that we also built. Why Daddy King? Because he served on the board of a bank for 40 years. You can't make this stuff up. Dr. King's father was a capitalist, from civil rights to civil rights. We have a Federal Reserve Chairman, Ben Bernanke, coming here on the 15th of next week for a whole global financial community summit with 1,000 delegates in 26 countries coming right here to Atlanta in a new mission to make free enterprise work for the poor. Now you can see why I'm here before you today. But it's also crazy that I'm here before you today. I don't really have time to even speak. I need to be back planning my summit because you all know how difficult this stuff is. But I thought it was important to be here because love is work. of mine. I'm real focused on what I need to do every day. But I can't go to every school in America. I can't be the inspiration for every teacher. So we decided to institutionalize it. So we come up with something called Hope Business in a Box. By the way, I'm not trying to sell you one thing. I don't care whether you like it or not, tell you. I don't want you to buy it. You can't buy it. Actually, I can give it away. And frankly, I hope you rip it off. I'm open source. All these folks who are non-profits, who believe they're in competition, I don't get it. There's enough poverty to go around, isn't it? This is America's problem. It's all about me and not about we. About what do I get, not what do I have to give. We're not in this together. I just want to get mine. I mean, we have got to get over ourselves and reset America. This is not a recession, folks. This is a reset. This is not an economic crisis. This is a crisis of virtues and values that you hold in your hands for those who lose. I'm now coming right at you. We have this whole business in the box thing. I come up with 25 business ideas that you can start with $500 or less, 4th grade through 12th grade. We give kids a financial literacy course, and before that, we give them a course in dignity. Why dignity? Because you can't play in school. Can't talk about God, can't talk about religion. We got a crisis of virtues and values. There's nothing these kids to believe in. But nobody's offended by dignity. Dignity is very spiritual. So we give them all basic values. We make them believe in themselves. Then we give them financial literacy. And by the way, all you do is financial literacy, the kids will go to sleep. Nobody wants to hear about 401ks. No one wants to hear about how great it is to save. No different than you don't want a mortgage. You didn't give them, ooh, give me a subprime 20% interest. Ooh, I can't wait to get an 18% interest car loan. Oh, you're laughing. That's not the way it works. You say, I want that car. I gotta have that cool car. That house, that's my dream. And on the way there, you may make some bad decisions. Are you with me?
Yes.
But it's the aspiration we want. You want to lose a kid, give him a lecture about graduation.
That's right. I'm gone.
Give him a lecture about grades.
Yep.
Or tell him they should take a financial literacy course. Right out the door. Kid wants to be rich, famous, and successful. Get it through your heads. You want to crush a dropout rate? It's real simple. Here's how you do it. Give a kid a shot at a job right out of high school, or a shot at economic opportunity, because that's all they want. And if we can just reconnect education with aspiration, you solve every problem in America. By the way, you solve every problem in the world. That's all everybody wants. They want to be successful. Back to the story. So the kid goes through financial literacy course, and they go through a primer in entrepreneurship. Then we give them the 25 businesses. They pick one, their choice. Why? Because we're going to come back to school and go pitch a kid in their auditorium. Think Shark Tank for kids. Now the kid has 2 minutes with local business leaders on stage. No Oprah, nobody big. Just the local banker, the local insurance person, the local role model. Kid has 2 minutes. That's it. To pitch their idea. You know what these kids are doing in 2 minutes? These kids are natural performers. And then now the endorphins are firing on the right side of their brain. They're on. People pay attention to them. They are have an opportunity to show how great their ideas are. And then for some of them, we invest $100, $500, $200 in their business, and we assign a role model to them. And the only way you can get the $500 is to go to a bank or credit union, open a bank account. Hello. Now you got a relationship with the financial institution. You have a new experience. Kids got a suit on. You're changing what the culture, and we got Gallup to give us a 100-year commitment to measure it school by school in America at a cost of zero. So here's our goal. We want to double financial literacy per school. I want to double economic energy per school. And I want to quadruple business role models per school. But the real number is business role models. Remember when I told you about what kids in urban communities want? They're going to be rap stars, athletes, or drug dealers. Why? Because they're modeling what they see. Here's the numbers. Gallup index. 91% of all kids not afraid to take risks. It's 3% margin of error in this national poll. 77% of all kids want to be their own boss. 77 want to be their own boss. 44% of all kids, this should make you really proud, want to own their own business. 47% of all kids think Facebook and Twitter believe they will create something that changes the world. This should be inspiring to you. But only 5% of kids have a business role model or a business internship in the richest country in the world. If you don't gap the 5% with the 77, we're done. We're just done. There's one question on the Gallup Index that I think is just brilliant. Now, question number 10. Does your teacher make you feel like your homework is relevant? Now, I didn't understand that question. It's like a softball question. But these social scientists at Gallup start smiling at me, and they say, you're not supposed to get it. It's not offensive. Here's the reason, here's the science behind the question. You ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you buying what your teacher's selling?
Nope.
Right.
That's deep. Because if you're not buying, if the kid's not buying what you're selling, you're done. They don't listen to anything else you say. So why is this 5% number? If America is the largest economy in the world, okay, I need 8 more minutes. Whoever's in charge of this deal, is it okay? 8 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. You enjoying this?
Yes.
So I'm gonna bring this home now. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna end where I started with that you are the minority, an intellectual minority, a fact-based minority, but you are the whole ball game, and you are all you need. Here it comes. This 5% number doesn't make sense with the fact that we're the largest economy today in the free world. We are $14, $15 trillion, even with our problems. And by the way, fear is taking us over. Half of Americans believe China is the economic leader of the world today. Not half of black people or Latinos or minorities or uneducated. No. 54% of all Americans, go to the internet yourself, pull it up. The Gallup research showed 54% of all Americans believe China today is the leader of the free world economically. China, if you believe their numbers, is $6 or $7 trillion. If you believe their numbers, they're pumping their own numbers with government stimulus, but if you believe their numbers, you can take China, Germany, Russia, Mexico, maybe Japan, together, put it inside of our economy and still have room. That's how big and bad America is. So we should be proud of that. So then you say, well, how is it that we only have 5% of kids with business internship or business role models? How is it we're still the leader of the free world? Exactly the question. The book, The Tipping Point, Malcolm Gladwell, read that book? 5% of all role models stabilize any community. University of Illinois study. I'll repeat. Not 50% of role models, not 80% of role models, not 20% of role models, not even 10. Just 5%. That's how incredible God is. He makes it so statistically improbable that it can only be Him. Hope is so powerful. You only need 5% of it to win. 5% of role models stabilize it. Why are you who you are? Because you saw somebody who inspired you. I don't even know your story. But I can point to anybody in here. Why are you who you are? Why are you who you are? Nobody got here by themselves. Anybody who didn't see somebody and say, I can do that, raise your hand. An honest group. So here's what's inspiring. Poor people don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, I want to be poor and stupid. They are modeling what they see. It is no more complicated than that. And here's the rub. Out of love, we pass down bad habits from generation to generation. Because it's what you don't know that you don't know that's killing you. What you think you know. So, we're at a tipping point and an inflection point. If we tip forward from 5%, create those 2 million startups I talked about earlier, we win. We surge again. What's the example? 25 years ago, we were told Japan was going to rule America. Remember that?
Yes.
It's a foregone conclusion. Japan wins. And we saw Japanese everywhere. Buying things, we were all eating Japanese food. Anyway.
Yeah.
People living in Japan, moving to Japan. My friends moving to China. 10 years ago, but we all tweet. Facebook didn't exist 12 years ago. CNN and 24-hour news didn't exist 20 years ago. It was news at 5, 7, and 11. Now, you go to TV, you can't find 24-hour news at 2 in the morning. The TV's broke.
Gracious.
America's an idea. Everything in America is an idea. And we have lost track with what has made us great. Little ideas with tipping points have changed everything. What was a town before Silicon Valley? It was called Detroit. 50 years ago, Detroit was the richest city in the world. Not the richest city in Michigan or California or the U.S. It was the richest city on the planet. Richer than Paris, richer than London. But they lost their story. And you are born to the North Pole, you end up south. So here we go again. And we have, here's my prediction. Every economy goes through 4 models: the agricultural age, the industrial age, the technology age, the information age. And nobody knows what comes next because America always gets there first. Here's what comes next, my prediction: the software of human development. The software of human development. It's going to be entrepreneurs, small business owners, self-employment projects. It's going to be your kids who change everything. Let me give you one last set of statistics. For anybody who was not convinced yet, this should just take you right over the top, either that or your brain dead. Okay. Either your brain dead or a horrible speaker, or you have no blood running through your veins, or you're just depressed. But I'm convinced you're all amazing, brilliant, inspired, and want to change the world for one of these good reasons. You're the choir. Preaching the choir. Here's the numbers. 7 billion people in the world. 300 million people in America. We're a super minority. In America, 300 million, how many businesses? I'll help you. 26 million, 27 million. Out of 27 million businesses in the richest economy in the world, in a city of a country of 300 million people, how many employed people? 2 million, 3 million. So out of the 27 million businesses, you would say that 2 or 3 million of those businesses employ but 99% of